Hello and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Ness and I like to talk about books. Today I'm doing day 7 of my 12 days of Christmas, which is me making content for you so you have something in the lead up to Christmas and on Christmas Day to keep you company. Today I'm going to be talking about my top reads of 2024. There's 8 books and I'm going to try and get through them really quickly. 2024 has not been a good reading year for me. I've actually read the least amount of books that I have in any year since I became an adult a long time ago. And that was just accumulation of things that had been going on in my life that had that impact. My average Goodreads rating for this year is only 3.1, which is absolutely terrible. I've read some really bad books this year, if I'm honest, and not a lot of good ones, and it was actually really hard scripting together even 8 books to talk about of the 34 that I've read. I am hoping to squeeze a few more in. We still have 2 weeks of the year left and I'm not at work, so I think I can hammer out maybe another 4 to 5 books. Optimism. We love it. Without further ado though, let's talk about the best. The first book I want to talk about is Cry as War, and this has been on my shelves for so many years. I picked this up because I thought this book, I either need to get rid of it at this point or I need to read it, because this is one of my longest books on my shelves that I've been influenced to read by Booktube. This is a young adult novel. It's not a standalone, I think it's part of a duology. And in this world, Autome, which is kind of like iRobot, they were created in this world to be the playthings of royals, but they actually usurped the royals and now they are making the human race kind of like enslaved. One of the main characters, Ayla, is a human servant, and she is rising through the ranks of the sovereign house in the hopes of avenging her family's death, and she blames the sovereign's daughter for her family's death. That person being Crier, who is designed to overtake her father's place and rule. They end up becoming entangled in each other's stories, and this is a sapphic novel, one of the only young adult sapphic novels that I've read in a very long time, and I really enjoyed this. I rated this a 5 stars. I don't know whether it was because of the pure shock of how much I enjoyed this. I think if I'd read this years ago, this would be one of my top novels of all time. It's really well written. The world is really embellished. The plot actually makes sense when you're reading it. You could totally like imagining something like this happening. And the characters, although they didn't really stand out in the vast sea of young adult characters, they were really good and well fleshed out. I don't usually keep books, but I'm keeping this because I want to read the sequel. I can't believe I had this on my shelf for so long. It was brilliant. I'm not really a romance reader, but the next 2 books that I want to talk about are contemporary romance, which for me is wild because I usually see myself as solely a fantasy reader, but I got halfway through the year and fantasy was really letting me down, so I felt the need to branch out on my shelves. And the first one that I picked up, which was romance, actually was Written in the Stars by Alexandra Bellefleur. This is an adult romance sapphic novel, and oh, it was so good. This was another book that I'd had on my shelves for around 2 years and I had to read it. I definitely don't really keep contemporary romances that I read because I never really feel like they have rereadability, but this one, I'm definitely rereading this and I'm recommending this to so many people. These main characters get set up on a blind date, which goes disastrously wrong, but they pretend to start fake dating. One of the main characters, Elle, she is behind a popular astrology account, and she thinks that the stars will help her to find her soulmate. And the other main character is Darcy, who thinks that's a load of rubbish, and she is set up by her brother to go on the date with Elle, and she doesn't want her brother thinking that she's a failure in the romance department, so she asks Elle to agree to fake date her so that she can have the pretense that she's dating someone and her brother will get off her back. They agree to end their arrangement on New Year's Eve. Does that happen? Who knows? Fantastic book, and I am on the lookout getting more books by this author as well because I enjoyed this so much. It was so well written. It had a good level of humor, also a good level of like romance. It was a slow burn that made sense and felt really realistic. After that, because I enjoyed that so much, I felt like I needed another contemporary romance to get me going, and I read Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. Oh, both 5 stars. I'd read The Love Hypothesis and I'd rated that, I can't remember if that was a 4 or 5 star read, but actually I enjoyed Love Theoretically better because I felt like the characters were better, although I know that's quite an unpopular opinion. This book sounds so boring, but trust me, it's not, because it has the right level of science and romance for people who aren't scientists like myself. The main character is a theoretical physicist, and she has beef with the experimental physicists people, but specifically one person who's written a paper that destroys or discredits her area of physics, or so she perceives. She is trying to get a job in physics that has the ability or provides her with the means to have medical insurance so that she can be healthy, get what she needs, and she ends up applying for a job, only the hiring manager is the person who she hates in physics. I don't know anything about physics. I don't know, this could be real or not real. This could be like science fiction level physics. I wouldn't know the difference, but I trust that Ali Hazelwood is a very smart person and knows what she's doing. This is like I Don't Like You to Lovers done really well. I haven't read book 2 actually, and I don't think I will, but this one was brilliant. The next book is Beyond the Black Door by A.M. Strickland. This is, I would say, an older young adult novel. This book did mystery really well and its plot, and I actually was reading this not knowing where the book was going to go, and that was kind of the point of the book. It had such a unique world building aspect to it as well. This just felt so unique, and it had the aspect of an asexual character as well. The main character, Kamai, is a soul walker. That means that she can enter people's like soul realms when they sleep. But whenever she does that, Kamai sees out in the corner of her vision a black door, and her mother, who has trained her to be a soul walker, always tells her to never open that black door. But as she gets older and as she gets more adventurous, she approaches the door and hears whispering behind it calling her name. Until one day, curiosity gets the better of her and she opens that door. I'm not going to tell you any more of that about the plot, because the beauty of this book is in turning the page. Like, what is happening? What's the surprise? Where is this going? It's a story of rebellion. There's kingdoms. You don't know who to trust. This is my first read by A.M. Strickland. I've got a few others on my shelves and I'm super excited to get around to them because this was perfectly crafted. 5 stars. The next 3 books I'm just going to go over really quickly because this author, I feel like I have to talk about them if I'm talking about like my best reads of this year. Oh my god, they're so dusty. These absolutely killed me. These were 5 stars. I love this series. I'm reading it very critically. I'm reading it with the thoughts about the author in mind and how I feel about the author. But at the same time, these were like my best reads this year. How do I not talk about that then? I need other series like this. Epicness. Yeah, I just need more recommendations for this, please. Please. Anything better than this would be like a godsend, so please. Please. The next book, actually, I haven't finished. I've read over half of it, but that in itself is like a full-length novel. And it's Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. And I feel really confident putting this in here because I'm over halfway and what I've read is an absolute masterpiece. And if this book, and if the rest of this book that I read is really rubbish, I still feel like what I've read of it already would still keep it up at the 5-star level, maybe drop to a 4. But what I've read is like some of the best work that I've read in 2024. Again, an author that I can't stand behind, but this book itself, the plot, the writing, the world building, I spoke about it a few videos ago. I just really enjoyed it and I find this really entertaining. I was so worried about going into this because it was Cassandra Clare, but curiosity got the better of me and it's phenomenally good. This book is about Kel, who is an orphan, and as a child he's given the opportunity to go and work for the king and queen as basically a body double mirage for their son, the prince, who is also the heir. So he's kind of like a human shield. They can put him in events where they feel like the prince will be at danger, and using magic they will make him look exactly the same so that people don't know any different. But as they get older, their secrets are coming out. They're not as alike and as brotherly as what they think they are. It's an interesting dynamic. I don't think this book is for everyone because it does have a lot of political fantasy in it, but if you like high fantasy in general, especially if you have the Fairylight edition sat on your shelves, please try it. Don't try and just sell it to get rid of it. Give it a go. It'll have you hooked within a few chapters. I realised I said I had 8 books, but actually I've counted the 3 Sarah J Maas books as 1. So we still have more to go. The next book I want to talk about is The Eyes Are the Best Part, and this came in an Evernight box this year, and I read it and it was so good. I'd been really worried about my Evernight subscription, as I said 2 videos ago. I wasn't enjoying the reads that I was getting, but The Eyes Are the Best Part was a fantastic debut novel. It's also a horror, but kind of like a thriller as well. The main character is living with her mother and sister following the dad walking out on them, and the mum gets a new boyfriend. The main character and her family are Koreans, and the main character is a first generation Korean American, and the mum's new boyfriend has a fetish for Asian women. Alongside this and the stress that this is causing her, she starts to become obsessed with eyeballs, eating them, putting them in her mouth, and she starts fantasizing about eating the eyeballs of her mum's new boyfriend, when really that's all tied in with thought around wanting to him. If you have Evernight and you haven't read this, I really recommend it if you can get through the whole eyeball depiction thing. I understand some people don't want to read it because of that, but if you can cope with that, 100%, it's a really quick read, even if you get it from a library. I think it's on Spotify audiobook as well. And the last book, where is it? Sometimes having all of these books, you just lose books so easy, and I genuinely don't know where this has gone, and I'm worried. Oh, here it is. It's Legends and Laddies. I've read this for a cozy read vlog, which is coming out very soon, and I really like this. I rated this 4 stars. Actually, the only book in this list I think that didn't quite make it to 5 stars. This, I can see why, is a staple of cozy fantasy, and I can see why when I asked for recommendations of people's favourite cozy fantasy, 7 people responded with this one, and like the next book had like 2 or 3 responses. If you are really looking for something low stakes, lots of friendships, a feel-good book really. The main character is Viv, and she used to be a barbarian, and she's hung up her sword and wants to leave the mercenary life behind her and open a coffee shop. This is kind of like D&D level medieval, so the idea of like a coffee shop. It's very new to everybody. Nobody knows what coffee is. She starts from nothing and creates this beautiful coffee shop, which is so perfectly described, and like the little achievements that her and her new staff make along the way, it's just really nice. There's a little bit of like, ooh, what's going to happen here, but most of this book, it's just really good vibes. Really well written. I can't believe this started out as like a NaNoWriMo project. I'm sure if you're really into cozy fantasy, you've already read this, but if you haven't, I think you're going to like it. I already own the prequel and I'm looking forward to reading it. So that was the 8, if you kind of lump in the Throne of Glass books together, books that I read this year that I really enjoyed. They were really good. I think the only other notable ones that I might say for the rest of the year was maybe Bunny. Otherwise, I haven't had a good reading year. I'm hoping that 2025 will be better, but I'm trying to focus on my Illumicrate and Fairy Loot books, so I don't know how that's going to go for me. I hope everyone is well on the run up to Christmas, and I'll see you in my next video tomorrow. Bye guys.